Hey cinema fans, welcome back to another movie review. Today we got Transformers Dark of the Moon. So Dark of the Moon was really the last good Transformers film before Bumblebee. You know, the second one, Revenge of the Fallen, like I said before in my other review, is that there was no script. They were basically filming as they went on, and it was just a mess. And there was reasons for that, and we went into that. But for Transformers 4 and 5, we'll get into those reviews and why I dislike them, and they just weren't good. But when it comes to Transformers Dark of the Moon, there was that sense like the first one had, where there was a plot that actually was focused on the plot. It had some backstory, had some lore connecting to the Apollo mission, and there was tons of great battle sequences. The VFX was top notch. We actually cared for all the characters, from Shia LaBeouf to all the little side characters and the Transformers as well, especially the relationship between Bumblebee and Shia LaBeouf. And of course, there is that same corny jokes that come with a Michael Bay film, like any other Michael Bay film. There has been, to be fair, there has been tons of great Michael Bay films. But when it comes to the jokes and the typical humor and the action and how the action plays out along with the humor and the story, it's another typical Michael Bay adventure, if you will. But I will give this movie credit where it's due. When it comes to the characters and really the Autobots, you really feel for them and what they go through, and how humans basically abandoning them so they can survive. That's the typical human nature. And we feel for these robots. I mean, we've always felt for these robots, but for this particular movie, what they go through, and getting Sentinel Prime to return, and then he betrays them, spoiler alert, and you feel for Optimus, you feel for Bumblebee, you feel for all the Autobots, which I think is pretty cool for a Transformers film. Now granted, there is tons of cliches, there's tons and tons of stereotypes in this film, and you know, there's a lot of plot holes that just go nowhere. But there is this little element of political thriller, which I do appreciate. And I do think the actors did their best with what was given to them for the script, and they did a great job. Now, and I don't think she was an actress. I think she was a model, Rosie Hutchinson or something like that. She was okay, but you know, you can truly see that Megan Fox was missing in this film. Now, let's talk about Shockwave, because you know, if you watch the Transformers G1 series, they definitely did Shockwave dirty. I mean, yes, he was menacing in this film, but the character Shockwave, the Decepticon, he's so compelling because he was left behind on a separate Cybertron, which they don't even bring into this film, that we don't know of, because we don't know the future of what they're going to do with the Transformers. But I feel like he just served a purpose as in being a menacing big threat, but nothing to the aspect of a compelling story for the character Shockwave, and you know, or Soundwave. I think it's Soundwave actually. Shockwave, correct me in the comment. I believe it's Shockwave. I think now I'm doubting myself right now. Is it Shockwave or Sound? It has to be Shockwave. But either way, they definitely did him dirty. I'm sorry, they did him dirty. He was easily defeated too. And the Decepticons, they definitely took a back step. Because, you know, they were really the forefront in the first film. In the second film, they were kind of put behind with the Fallen, and now again in the third film, which is fine. I guess you need new villains for the Transformers franchise. But, you know, they do the same thing in Age of Extinction, and then they do it again in The Last Night. Basically, the Decepticons, even Megatron, become more of a henchman than a actual antagonist leader, if you will. Especially Megatron. Speaking of Megatron, and don't get me wrong, I love the scene. I love when Megatron showed up and saved Optimus, and Optimus got his final blow to Megatron. Well, final blow in this film, in this trilogy. But it just wasn't, For someone like Megatron, especially in the first film and how he was set up to be such a big menacing threat, the second film and the third film, they just really do a whole benching of the character, and it's sad because he's such a villain in the Transformers animated series. He literally was Darth Vader for the Transformers. And look, there was a lot of great moments in this film, especially when Optimus flew in and kicked a bunch of Decepticon ass. If anything, this is more of a fun watch, not a compelling story. I mean, there's a story there, at least there's a plot and there's an actual script, unlike the second one. But it's fun, it's entertaining, but it's not compelling. And I would say for the standards of this trilogy, it was definitely a nice wrap up for the trilogy. And like I said before in the first two, when it comes to the score of this film and all of the films for the Transformers films, besides Bumblebee, because I think it was a different composer, the score has always been top notch. I love the score for Dark of the Moon, especially when I think it is titled The Final Battle, I think it's called The Final Battle. And it's that same score they use when Optimus swoops in and kicks all types of Decepticon ass. And you know, the score, I love the score. The score has never disappointed whatsoever. It just so happens that the film itself does not live up to the score, especially in The Last Knight, because it's criminal what happens for Transformers 5 and how amazing and beautiful and a masterpiece that score was compared to the film. But you know, overall, it's a fun film. It's a fun watch. Again, it's a nice closure to the trilogy. You know, even though we have like 2 more to go than Bumblebee, but I would give this film a solid 7.2 out of 10. I mean, it's the only reason I give it a 7.2 is because, again, it's definitely a 7, but that 2 comes in for just, you know, at least they stuck to the script, they stuck to the plot. It at least was not compelling, but interesting, and it kept you entertained, and fun action, fun VFX. They never disappoint with the CGI, and you know, the score was top notch. There's a lot of great things about this film I feel like outweigh the bad. So overall, it's a 7.2, or really I'll give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's a fun film, and you know, I recommend it. But again, it's the last real, true, great Transformers film until we get the Bumblebee. But well, that's my review and rating of Transformers Dark of the Moon. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe.